Namaskar and welcome to In Focus. With company after company bringing in poor results this year, the question we ask is how serious is the situation faced by Indian industry and where does that leave the government's plans for radical reform? Those are two of the critical questions I shall put today to the Industries Minister, Sikandar Bakht. Mr. Bakht, you're Industries Minister at a time when the rate of growth of industrial output has fallen to 4.5%, the rate of growth of manufacturing industry is down to 4.4%, and capital goods has become actually negative. How serious is the position as you see it for Indian industry?
The position is quite serious. In fact, what we have inherited, we'll have to unscramble it all. But I'm glad that for the short time that I have been in this ministry, I can say that our industrial growth this year is going to be around 7%.
But at the moment, for the first quarter, it's only 4.5. So where does it almost double from?
I'm only saying that from a particular figure, which I'll say 5%, we are expecting to be 7% by the end of the year.
Do you accept that this is a recession?
No, sir, I wouldn't say that. It is a period which is not very good for the economy of the country, but we are looking up. I don't know whether a man who has been in the saddle for 4 months can really claim that they are going to turn the entire economy in such a short period, but I have not the least doubt that we are moving in the right direction and moving at a good pace.
Let me put a simple question to you so that the audience can gauge how you as Industries Minister look upon your job. Do you believe that as Industries Minister it's your job to run a certain number of industries, or do you believe that it's your job to create conditions so that other people can run industry
Quite
properly?
Right. Certainly you have said the right thing in the end, and that is that our responsibility is to create conditions when industries can run successfully.
But
that's
not for government to run the industries themselves.
No, I don't think. You see, the efficiency of the government keeps on getting blurred as we increase the area of our functions. I think...
That's interesting. The less the government does, the better it will do it.
Definitely, the government with some other areas of functioning will be more efficient, there is no doubt. I think that government shouldn't go about meddling into everything. Like commercial activity should be left to the people, by and large.
Let me try and push this. Are you actually saying that the government should not be involved, for instance, in making bread, making condoms, running hotels, making cars, that these are things that the commercial private sector does better, let them do it?
Well, I'm gradually getting into areas where I'm scared, because you see, I'm a political man, and this is a forum. I would have to judge and know how far I can go making my commitments. It is a very delicate question you have asked, whether I am in a position to say today the government has no business to be in business. And
can I put it like
theoretically, I would say yes, it has no business to be in business. But it is in business, and there is no magic wand to separate government from business from whatever level it has reached in business during all these 50 years.
I understand. You're saying if we had a clean slate, government has no business to get into business.
Quite
but
right.
Given that we have a history, and given that there is a tradition, extricating government from business is difficult.
That is what this government is doing. And this government has done a lot in this direction. You see,
चलिए तो मुझे ये बताइए आपके फाइनेंस मिनिस्टर ने बजट स्पीच में पब्लिकली कहा था that the government would disinvest up to 74% of shares in non-strategic public sector units.
Quite right.
What steps have you taken to make this a reality?
We have already taken steps. Number one, there is some confusion about the functions of the Disinvestment Commission. We are sorting it out. Today, most of the functions of the Disinvestment Commission has been taken over by a group of secretaries. They are doing it. And for very important sectors, we have already decided to disinvest them.
Now, those were the four that the finance minister announced in his budget. What further steps have you taken? After all, there are some 236, perhaps even as many as 241 PSUs. Have you drawn
236 is the right number.
Have you drawn up a list of
Yes.
out of those 236 that will be disinvested? Beyond these four?
Because there are two things. 200 from out of 236 PSUs, 104 are sick. They are not only not producing any profits,
They're losing
they
money.
are loss-making industries.
Right. Let me change the question. What steps are you taking to close those down? What steps are you taking to stop the hemorrhage?
We have got an organization which looks into it. We have got that organization by the name of BIFR. BIFR 64 or that number, I think 64 is the right number. They have already been referred to the BIFR.
Can I interrupt? Can I interrupt for a moment, Bakht Sahab? The BJP's great raison d'etre before it came to power was that it was going to roll back the state and expand the area of entrepreneurial freedom. You were going to sell off public sector units, you were going to close them down. अब आप क्या कह रहे हैं? इस कमेटी ने बातें करनी है, वहाँ पे BFR study करेगी, हम consider करेंगे.
I'll tell you what. In fact, I couldn't finish. Why are we doing it? Because there are constraints. The government also wants to ensure that we don't throw workers out on the road without any jobs. So we are creating a situation where the non-revival able PSUs are done with without...
Can you name the top 10 that will be closed down?
No, I won't.
You won't or you can't?
No, I can, I'll tell you.
So you've identified 10?
We have identified 9.
9?
You'll be surprised, yes. You see...
So you have, just for clarity, you've identified 9 public sector units you wish to close down?
I'll tell you. We have 48 PSUs under our Department of Industrial Development, Heavy Industries Department. From out of that, 23 units have been given to BIFR to check up their positions.
And out of those 9 you wish to close down?
Now 9, the BIFR has recommended that 9 can be revived. 9 are such units which are not revival able. They can't be revived.
When will you take steps to close these 9 that can't be revived?
They've got to go through a process, you see. There is a process, and the process can hardly be over within these 4 months.
But has the process begun?
Of course, it has begun.
When does it end?
Well, after
is it
some
time bound? Is it time bound?
BIFR have already made their recommendations. Their recommendations will be taken up by the High Court, and after that they will go to the a group of secretaries. We call it core group of secretaries. So they will have to go through that process.
I understand you can't rush things, but let me cut through. People will only really believe it's going to happen when they see it happen. What's the deadline by when this will happen? 2 months, 3 months, 6 months?
No, there is no deadline.
Will it happen by 99?
No, I mean, 99 is too far away. I think it should happen earlier than that.
It will happen before the end of the year.
Why I say is you must understand our constraints.
I do. In fact, it's more than your constraints. You're here giving the first reassurance that the BJP's belief in radical reorganization of Indian industry is about to happen.
Definitely.
One step of that is that 9 public sector units, which you have identified, will go through the process and could be closed down before the end of this year.
You have said it right. Could be closed down, you have come to. Could be brought to an end of the process.
By and before the end of this year.
Well, I hope so. I think so.
Okay. Let me push you on something else. The second aspect of this radicalization that people are looking for from the BJP is your determination to disinvest. The finance minister identified 4 companies in the budget speech.
For the time being, yes.
Have you identified more?
Yes, they have been identified.
How many more? 20?
No, a lot more. 40 the Disinvest Commission had recommended 41 units for disinvestment.
How many have you chosen out of those?
4.
4. Are those 4 different to the 4 the finance minister announced in his budget speech?
No.
So those are the same 4.
Yeah.
What about others? Have you identified others?
I said 41. 41 have been identified from out
But
of
have you
these
created
4.
a priority out of those
Not
41?
yet. Not yet.
When
not
will you
yet.
create a priority?
Again, actually, it will have to be decided. I'm saying, unfortunately, I can't sit down on a desk and decide. They have got to go through a process.
Okay, let me put the same question again.
And then there is
will
another
that process...
there is another difficulty that we are facing. Today, globally, the capital market is witnessing a slump, you say. And we shall have to make our point whether it is the right time to disinvest.
So it's quite possible that when it comes to disinvestment, other than the 4 that the finance minister identified in his budget speech, you may not be able to do anything else this year at all.
I don't say that at all. It is too straightforward and too blank. No, it's not that sort of a blank at all. You see, it will always have to be judged what is the best price that we can get for whatever we are going to invest.
मैं आपको एक साधारण सवाल पूछना चाहता हूँ, which is in the mind of viewers.
पूछिए.
About closing down public sector units, you gave me a fairly clear indication of what to expect. Give me a similar indication about disinvestment. Will more than 4 units, will more than the 4 that the finance minister talked, happen this year?
Disinvestment this year, no.
Okay. You spoke at the very beginning about something very intriguing. You said in answer to my first question that you also have to unscramble the mess. Those were your phrases that you've inherited.
It is a mess.
That is a test, not of your radicalism, not of your desire to reform. That's a test of your ability simply to remove the anomalies in the system.
Yes.
Let me bring one to your attention. Today, the Industries Act of 1951, which is 47 years old, still applies. One example is that sugar remains a licensed commodity, and yet sugar is freely importable under OGL. That's a contradiction, can't you remove
all right, I'll use my words very carefully. We are proposing to de-license sugar. We have already de-licensed lignite. We have already de-licensed petroleum products.
When will sugar be de-licensed?
Recently.
No, when will sugar be de-licensed?
I think maybe the next cabinet meeting.
You mean actually before the 15th of August?
No, I don't think so. But certainly,
after the 15th of August?
Certainly soon, very soon.
In August itself, sugar will be de-licensed?
Very possible. Sugar will be de-licensed in August itself.
Let me go further. There are very few items that remain licensed.
Yes,
why don't you de-license industry as a whole?
No,
why don't you,
no.
with the exception of defense and nuclear,
no, yes.
and tell entrepreneurs that they have freedom
only
to do
practically 5 probably.
But those 5 will stay.
Those areas will remain for the simple reason that they are important from defense and security point of view.
Let me bring up one other anomaly. Today, the small-scale sector remains reserved, and yet, under OGL, goods that are produced in the small-scale sector can be imported from abroad. So the protection that you're giving by reservation is undermined by imports. Why don't you remove that reservation?
We were proposing in terms of de-reserving some items being 200, 300, because there are about 800 odd items which are reserved. But then Prime Minister, on being approached by small-scale industries people, he has announced that we are not de-reserving anything. That is what's happening for the time being. Nothing is being de-reserved. But
is that a Prime Minister?
Just a minute. Let me explain it. Other units, which are not small-scale units, can also produce items which are reserved for small-scale industries on the condition that at least 75% of their products are exported. So this is the manner in which we are functioning today.
Tell me something. Clearly you've made one point. You would have liked to de-reserve 200 or 300 out of the 800 items in the small-scale sector. The Prime Minister...
I said we were proposing.
Quite right. And the Prime Minister said no.
No.
Do you think the Prime Minister's decision was the wrong one?
I don't think so. I don't think so.
Were
The
you
question
proposing something that you didn't believe in?
No. The question is that the small-scale industries people approached Prime Minister thinking that if the items are de-reserved, we'll be put into difficulty. And I think the Prime Minister was right.
Let's end this part there. You've indicated 2-3 very interesting things. The reform zeal of the BJP continues so far as you're still determined to close down unremunerative public sector units.
Yes.
And you are also determined to end some of the anomalies, i.e., as you put it, unscramble the mess by at least doing one clear thing, delicensing sugar.
Yeah.
And perhaps in time, the state of confusion, if I can use that word, about the small-scale sector could resolve itself. Let's leave it there. I want in part 2 to take up a bigger issue with you. I want to talk to you about the government as a whole. But first, we're going to take a quick commercial break. Don't go away. We'll be back in just a couple of moments. Welcome back. We're talking to the Industries Minister, Sikandar Bakht. Bakht Sahab, you're not just Industries Minister, you're also one of the most senior, one of the most respected members of the BJP.
Thank you.
I want, therefore, to put this to you. The BJP government was not meant to be just better, it was meant to be different. This was going to be the dawn of a new India. With your hand on your heart, tell me, is that really happening?
Certainly we are different.
Yes, but is the new India coming into being?
Just a minute. My point is, primarily, as I said, the 50 years mess cannot be unscrambled in 4 months. Number one, unfortunately, expectations of people were too much as far as our performance was concerned. They were expecting a lot from us. But one of the expectations has been fulfilled. There is absolutely not a whisper of corruption against BJP government.
Yes, but
all of the previous governments have been submerged in a whole ocean of corruption.
I grant you that, Bakht Sahab, but one big expectation of this government was that it would be able, it would be stable, it would perform. And every single day the papers are full of quarrels with your allies over Udham Singh Nagar, deputy speakership of the Lok Sabha, Kaveri waters, you name it, you're quarreling about it.
Any of them. Primarily, my country is too big to be free of problems. At any given time, the country must have problems so that it goes ahead, keeps going. Problems will be there, but outside the problems, look at what the government is doing.
Let me put something to you. Again this week, Jai Lalita has threatened to withdraw support, this time over the Kaveri water. How long can this continue? How long can a member of the ruling coalition publicly threaten the BJP and reduce the government to what looks like a tutu meme on television?
All right. How do you feel like that although this tutu meme is going on for a long time, nothing has happened? How do you read that?
Except for one thing, that today the government has become a parody, it's become a spectacle. People say, खुदा जाने कितने दिन चलेगी, खुदा जाने वाजपेयी साहब 15 तारीख को होंगे नहीं होंगे.
मगर चल रही है 4 महीने से चल रही है in spite of all this.
तो आप ये कह रहे हैं that survival, you're saying that survival is the greatest achievement?
No, मैं ये कह रहा हूँ कि BJP is an imperative requirement of the country today. Imperative. क्योंकि जरा बीजेपी का कदम अपनी जगह से हिलेगा तो गवर्नमेंट में पॉलिटिकल सिस्टम हिल जाएगा, डेमोक्रेटिक सिस्टम हिल जाएगा.
लेकिन
इसलिए मैं मानता हूं कि लोग इसको रिकॉग्नाइज करते हैं और इसीलिए बीजेपी की गवर्नमेंट चल रही है.
लेकिन हिल के चल रही है. इट इज अ स्टम्बलिंग गवर्नमेंट. आपके कदम मजबूत नहीं हुए.
अब मैं एक बात कहूं आपसे, मैं भी गलती से इस गवर्नमेंट का हिस्सा हूं. मैं तो सोचता भी नहीं किसने क्या कहा क्या नहीं कहा, और जितने मजबूत भी मेरे कदम हो सकते हैं, अगर वो मजबूत हैं तो मुझे शक है कि मजबूत हैं या नहीं, मगर जितने भी मजबूत हो सकते हैं उतने मजबूती से हर रोज उठ रहे हैं. ठीक है? And I'm not at all bothered of what's happening, whether the government is going to survive tomorrow or not. I am today in my ministry, I am working with as much zeal as am capable of.
In other words, you're saying that the future lies in forgetting about the image and the political problems, but
not forgetting.
The future lies in getting on with the job.
Getting on with the job, right. And that's what I mean. And that is what the BJP is doing. And that is the most wonderful part of BJP.
Let me put this to you. Many people say that perhaps the Prime Minister should worry less about his allies, worry less about Jayalalitha, and concentrate more on making sure that the government delivers. In a sense, you're saying that. Don't worry about the problems, get on with the job.
That's what I'm claiming. The government is delivering. Because you will see, now in the beginning you put some question to me regarding the economy. This budget that Yashwant brought was in the most difficult circumstances. But he did it, he has done it. And I can claim.
Then he spent 3 weeks undoing it in Parliament under pressure from the opposition.
No, that has always happened. Again, that's surprising. My point is, whenever the budgets have come, has there ever been an instance when a foreign minister has not made amends after
But there's never been a
presenting
time, Bakht Sahab, when the finance minister has looked so embarrassed. There's never been a time when the government as a whole has looked so uncertain, so unsteady,
uncertain
so weak.
About what?
Uncertain about whether its policies are going to pass.
I can tell you this.
Uncertain about whether even a settlement on Kaveri is going to be successful. Uncertain about whether its allies are going to continue to support it tomorrow. Har din, the headline is this.
Budget to abhi aaya hai na? Abhi aaya hai. Give it 2 months more and you will see what is it that what the sort of stability it brings to Indian economy.
Okay, let me end this interview by putting one last question to you. Can I give it 2 months more? You probably have a good reason for believing that in 2 months things will change. The Prime Minister to most people looks unhappy. He looks sad, he looks disconsolate, he looks as if he's lost heart.
Have you ever seen his unsmiling face?
On TV, people see it every day.
What I don't know. He's absolutely fine.
Tell me this, you're a very close associate of his, you've known him for years.
I am.
Is he happy with the way the government is functioning?
Nobody should be. Nobody should be, because we have, I mean, during these 4 months, we have not done everything that should have been done. So why should anybody be happy about it? We should have done much more. There is much more to be done for this country.
So the Prime Minister has reason for looking unhappy?
Well, I wouldn't say he's unhappy. I wouldn't say that. But he's happy about whatever has been done.
But he should have done but the government should have done a lot more.
A lot more, of course.
And that is, in a sense, your verdict. We should have been able to do more.
I don't say that we should have been. I would say, I don't know, you're really wonderful with your English words. What I say is, बहुत कुछ किया है और इससे ज़्यादा भी हो सकता था.
Mr. Bakht, my last question. You have as much government experience as the Prime Minister. What advice would you give him to put the government back on the rails?
I would tell Atalji that please reduce the area of the functions of this government as much as you can, so that you are a very efficient government.
You're saying small government is good government.
I'm saying that small government is the most efficient government.
There, Mr. Bakht, we're going to have to end this interview. Thank you very much for talking to us so openly about both your own portfolio and sharing with us your views and opinions and feelings on the performance of this government.
You're welcome, sir.
That's it for this week. We'll be back next week with another interviewee, but today, from the Industry Minister's office in New Delhi, goodbye.